The first bout that caught my interest, working from the bottom up, Drew McFedries and Mike Massenzio. Now, Drew McFedries is MFS, which is a Camp the Tie support. He's a striker who is 7'3", and his wins include Sakara, who is also fighting on this card, losses to Patrick Cote and Nathan Quarry. Mike Massenzio, 10-2, slightly better record, but I'm not really sure on the calibre of people he's fought. I'm going to go for McFedries in here. I'm going to go for TKO of some sort. And I'm going to go for it in round in round 1, because statistically Massenzio either wins or loses usually in round 1 or 3, and McFedries usually does round 1. So I'm going to go for round 1. There. Next one, Joe Lozon and Kyle Bradley. I believe the two know each other and are sort of friends, so I don't know how that's going to affect things. Bradley, 13-5, is a striker with 2 losses to Melvin Willard for some reason. Don't ask me why. He usually finishes or gets finished in round 1. And Joe Lozon is the same with that. But he's 16-4 and usually submission specialist, although he can strike as well. This is quite an interesting one. I'm going to go for Joe on this, partly because I at least know a little bit about him. I don't really know Kyle Bradley very well. I'm going to go for it as a TKO actually, and not a submission. I'll put it in round 2. The reason for that is Kyle Bradley is a striker, and I know that Lozon can strike and win with strikes as well. So I'm going to go for that. Wilson Govia and Ryan Jensen. Jensen 13-4. Mostly submission wins, but he also loses by submission quite a lot. He's got a loss to Brock Larson and a win over Marlon Sims. And Govia, 10-5, an American top team person, and his wins are mostly submission. And we're talking wins over people like John Fitch, for example, Jason Lambert and Seth Petrozelli, with losses to people like Rory Singer and Keith Jardine. So I'm going to go for Wilson on this. I am going to go for Wilson, and I'm going to go for him by submission. I shall go for round 3, because that's when he usually statistically wins or loses. I don't know about Jensen. I see Sakara, who I like, and he's American top team as well. But he's a bit iffy with his wins and losses against calibre people. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he doesn't. Record 12-7, and he's fighting Joe Vedipo, 7-1. I do believe that this is supposed to help Alessio Sakara. Vedipo was never lost by submission, but I don't really see Sakara submitting him. I shall go for a decision on this, Sakara decision. I'm always wary about these ones where the UFC try to matchmake people so that they have an obvious win to sort of boost them on a scale if they're sort of a bit wobbly, because you never quite know who the person who's sort of like a no-name is. I've looked at his record, I can't see any calibers, but I don't actually know the people that are on his record. So for all I know, he could be, you know, Joe Lozon in disguise. Houston Alexander and Eric Schaffer. Now, I am going for Eric on this. I don't dislike Houston Alexander, it has to be said. However, Houston's one major drawback is that if you get him on the ground, he's not very good. Eric is good on his feet, but he's also good on the ground. And whilst I don't know if Eric can beat Alexander on his feet, I would not suggest he try it. If he takes it to the ground, I do think he will win by submission. I'm going to put sub in round 2. Round 2 there. Also, I see it's difficult for me because I do like Houston Alexander. And I do remember when he sort of first burst onto the scene, and he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. He was beating everybody. And then that all sort of went out the window when people realised he didn't have a ground game at all. Eric, on the other hand, I don't think a lot of people know. I know because he's part of Sucker Punch Entertainment, which is another sort of management group of fighters that I support from various different camps. So that's for there. Ed Herman and Alan Belcher, you know, I don't know much about either of these people. 12-5 for Alan, 14-6 for Herman, and he fights out of Quest. But he also loses a lot by submission. The other guy, TKO and subs, I don't know about this one. This one is going to be the one that I'll question mark. I think this is going to be quite a hard one to call, because if Belcher can get him down, there is a possibility that Herman can be overcome by submission. However, having said that, it could equally backfire if Belcher were to take it to the ground. So I don't know, that could be a match to watch, that one. That could be a match to watch. I think I should put Ed Herman winning it, but I don't quite know how. And I'm not completely sold on that idea. Clay Guida and Mac Danzig. I want Clay Guides to win because I don't like Mac Danzig. Having said that, let's just look at their records. Clay 23-9. And is that an 18 or a 16? I don't know. But Mac Danzig 16 or 18-4. I don't know. My writing's that bad. He loses a lot by decision. Does Mac Danzig when he loses? Now Guida, when he loses by submission, and Mac Danzig is very, very, very hot on catching people in submissions. So there is a chance, I think, that Danzig will win by decision, but I'm going to go for Clay by decision. The problem is that Clay often goes to decision and loses as well. I'm still going to go for Guida there. Josh Neer and Nathan Diaz. Now, I don't mind Nathan Diaz, although, you know, I'm not particularly impressed by the sort of flipping the birdie that he likes to do all the time, but there we are. He's 9-2, and I don't know why they've put him against Josh Neer, who's 24-6, and an MFSer to boot, with 10 TKOs and 10 submissions in that. However, he has 3 submission losses, one of which is to Nick Diaz, who is Nathan Diaz's brother. So there's something there. There's something in that one. Nathan Diaz's only major loss is to Hermes Franca, and he's never been TKO'd. Remember that Josh Neer is also a sort of stand-up fighter as well. This one could be very, very exciting, and I would like Josh Neer to win this one. Really, just as payback for Kurt Pellegrino. I got quite upset by Nathan Diaz sort of, you know, starting the submission and then flipping the birdie and then finishing the submission, and I just think that, you know, Josh Neer defeating him by either a first TKO loss or a submission loss when Nathan knows that his brother has defeated Josh Neer, I just think that would be perfect. So I'm going to go for Josh Neer, and I'm going to go for TKO. I'm going to say this will be Nathan's first loss by TKO. There we are.